Buenos dias, boys and girls. How is everybody today?
Good morning, Methodist. What's happening?
I'll tell you what's happening. I'm going back to bed. That's what's happening.
Not a good night's sleep.
I'll say.
I knew you'd been having sleep problems, but I thought they got you fixed up with one of those CPAP machines, you know, that keep you from snoring, help you breathe at night.
I didn't know fish could snore.
We just don't talk about it. Anyway, I did get a CPAP up at the sleep center at Bozeman Deaconess Hospital, and it's been working great.
So what happened?
Well, last night, somehow, I pushed the reverse button on it. So instead of blowing out air, helping me to breathe, it started sucking. By the time I realized it, the thing had nearly sucked my whole face off. Even my lips looked puffy.
They always look.
I knew it. I couldn't sleep a week after that. I kept dreaming that this big octopus had grabbed me and wouldn't let go. So, you don't mind if I take a nap, do you?
Now?
And maybe you could tell me a bedtime story? I think that would help me relax.
Okay, I know. How about the story about Octagonal, the great face-sucking octopus?
How about great Uncle Blippo and the accidental baptism?
I don't think I know that one. I could do Good Night Moon, though. Good night, moon. Good night, pews. Good night, ushers. Kangaroo.
Kangaroo?
Well, you try to rhyme something with pew.
No, I don't want the Australian version of Good Night Moon. I want great Uncle Blippo and the accidental baptism. Okay, here, I'll just tell it.
Oh, okay.
One day, a long time ago, and this is a true story, your great Uncle Blippo was accidentally baptized.
But I don't have a great Uncle Blippo.
Well, this story is for me, about my family. Blippo was a fish.
Well, I had a great Uncle Beacon Pecker, and Aunt Ruby, of course. Everyone has an Aunt Ruby.
Oh, good night, church. Good night, pew. Good night, those here who have tattoos.
Anyway, was just a little minnow swimming along. He saw this wiggly worm, and so he bit it. But it wasn't a worm.
What was it?
Good night, fishies. Good night, worms. Good night to those who work in law firms.
It was a soul of a person, and not just any person.
Justin Bieber?
My great uncle lived in the River Jordan, and the toe just happened to belong to Jesus.
Yeah.
It just happened to be the day that Jesus was baptized.
That is some story. Hey, Mom, you'll never guess what happened today. I just bit the toe of the second person in the Trinity.
And it just happened to be the day of Jesus' baptism.
Well, so what happened?
Well, after realizing his mistake, though not yet knowing who the toe belonged to, great Uncle Blippo hid behind a rock. And then 2 of the feet came splashing down next to him, and he heard the following conversation. John, would you baptize me? Jesus? But I'm the one who needs to be baptized, not you. But Jesus insisted. John, do it. God's work, putting things right all these centuries, is coming together right now in this baptism. So John the Baptist did it.
But what about the accidental baptism part?
Well, when my great uncle heard whose feet those were next to him, he jumped for joy right out of the water, right as Jesus was being
a way, we were all involved because we've all been baptized too, into God's love, into God's family. So we remember we're all part of God's family tree. And the waters of baptism are part of what keeps on watering that tree.
Good night, water. Good night, tree. Good night, Jesus, who's holding me.
Amen.
And now, is this another great day to be celebrating our baptism or what?